So this movie is shot in New York, and it's almost like a fairy tale version of New York, because it kind of looks like New York, but you don't get like the downtown skyline. You don't see like a lot of the landmarks, and that was purposefully done by Anderson to kind of avoid showing all that.
Yeah, he kind of wanted it to be more obscured.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's very much kind of a dream New York,
mm-hmm.
Or the New York that you would see in a dream. I think even one of the shots when Pagoda is first talking to Royal to let him know that Henry Sherman had asked Ethelene to marry him.
Yeah, he's blocking out the Statue of Liberty, right?
Yeah, they're in Battery Park, and the way that Pagoda is framed, he's standing in front of the Statue of Liberty, so that you don't see it and you don't think about, this is a New York movie, and here are all the New York landmarks. It's shot in New York. The house, the Tenenbaum house, is a real house. Mm-hmm. It very much seems like a set. At least you would think that it was a set because everything is so perfect. But it's a real house in Harlem.
Which I think you can guess how much it is to rent that same property right now.
Holy shit! How much? $40,000 a month?
$20,000 a month.
$20,000 a month?
Yep.
Jesus. They got lucky because apparently someone had just bought the house or foreclosed on it, and they were going to renovate it. And the production saw it, fell in love with it, and said, "Hey, before you renovate it, can we shoot the movie here?" And I think the production manager and the cost that they paid to shoot there, I think, kind of helped the owner pay for the house. But it's beautiful on the inside.
Yeah, I know I think I read that the art director they had to paint some of the interior rooms several times to get everything right.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, when you're watching the film, the house alone is it stands out. Even when the film starts and they do they have that crane shot where the kids are in the windows and you kind
mm-hmm.
of first being introduced to the home and the family. Beautiful.
I mean, it looks like a castle.
Yeah.
It's got the spire on the top with the little flag. And it's, 4 stories, maybe?
Yeah, has to be at least.
Because there's at least 3 stories. And then, kind of I think the ballroom is at the top. But just a beautiful house that they just happened to find and got really lucky that a new owner had just bought it and it needed to be renovated. And they got lucky and they were able to shoot there.
Going back to real quick, when Royal first tells everyone oh yeah, I got a bad case of the cancer, you can tell Chas is not buying it. He's oh really? While he's flipping through the magazine, he's like, so how long do you have?
Yeah, he just can't wait for him to die. And even when, he's telling them, hey, kids, I love you very much and everything, you can hear Chaz just laughing. Not buying it. And he keeps kind of making his displeasure known. And even when he's like, after Royal has that crack about the wife, and he goes to walk out of the room, Royal kind of reaches out to him and Stiller just slaps his hand.
Yeah.
As he walks by. The bit that I like is at the very beginning when they're kids, and you find out that Margot was adopted.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that apparently Royal always said when introducing Margot, and it cut to that shot of him introducing Margot to the people at the party. It's like, oh, this is my adopted daughter, Margot.
Or when they're investigating Raleigh, they're like investigating Margot because she's supposed to be married to him, and he knows something's up, and then they figure out that she's like the most promiscuous woman ever, and they just kind of go through like all of her past relationships, and then at the end he closes the file, and he's like, "Oh, so she smokes?"
Yeah,
like
that was his one takeaway. Well, all the stuff at the beginning, where it's kind of introducing everything and kind of showing, each child's room and what they're up to, and there's always the title, the little title card. Mm-hmm. Telling you what's what and showing what's what, and then it's something that Wes Anderson carries over in a lot of his work, and it's something that he does as they go through that montage with Margot too. Is they're showing all these different points in Margot's life, her first husband, when she started smoking, running away. All of that, and they have the titles over each one. And I really like how they introduce the characters, too. How at the very beginning you have, the actor and, who they are, who their character is. Mm-hmm. I like all that. He does the same thing in Rushmore, at the beginning of Rushmore, where he has, all of Max's, all the different clubs that Max belongs to. How they do that montage, and they have the title as to what club is what. I like the bit with Margot's finger.
Oh, yeah.
How, she runs away from home when I think she was 14. And to go and visit her real family in Indiana. And she comes back missing half the finger. And when the kids are asking her about it, because she has like the fake like wood finger. Mm-hmm. And when the kids ask her about it, she's like, "Oh no, I'll tell you." And she tells them that she was adopted and she went to go find her real family. And there's that scene of her family, and I don't know if that's her brother. I don't think it's her dad. It doesn't look old enough, but I'm guessing, supposed to be like one of her brothers. Mm-hmm. Tells her to hold the piece of wood so he can chop it, and that's how she loses the finger.
And it's funny because she was supposed to be younger then, but they used Gwyneth Paltrow still, right?
Yeah, they didn't use the same girl that they use. When Margot was a child, even up until I think age 12, it's still the same girl from the beginning. Yeah. When it shows her smoking. Yeah. But yeah, when in that flashback when she's telling the kids about how she lost the finger, it's Gwyneth Paltrow just like in dark hair. Yeah. And she just runs up, and yeah, it all happens so quick. That's hilarious. And that's the third Wilson brother. That's Andrew Wilson is the guy who's playing. I'm assuming her brother in the flashback. That's Luke and Owen's brother. He's also in Bottle Rocket. He's Future Man in Bottle Rocket, and he's really funny. He's also got a second cameo because he's one of the voices on the tennis commentary.
Oh, okay.
It's Andrew Wilson and Wes Anderson doing the commentary over the tennis match.
There's like, oh, what a day.
Which when they're at the cemetery, and Chaz and the kids go off to see Rachel, and Richie and Royal are walking along. Royal asks him about the tennis match, and he says that, hey, you really choked out there that day. But the first thing he tells him after that is, I had a lot riding on it, financially and personally. Like, he can't be there for his son. He just thinks about the money that he lost on the tennis match. There's so much great insensitivity from Royal. Mm-hmm. And he's there under the skies that he's dying. And one of the things that kind of starts starts the emotions going is when he gets found out and he's getting kicked out of the house. He tells him that, hey, even though I lied, I want you to know that the last 6 days I spent were some of the best times of my life. And that's one of the few times that Alec Baldwin's narrator kicks in and says immediately after saying this, Royal knew that it was true. That he wasn't just putting on the fact, or he wasn't just putting it on, that he was actually having fun and really enjoying being with his family again.
Mm-hmm.
So even though he was there for those, for his selfish reasons, like, he had really kind of endeared himself to the family, and then vice versa. Even he's kind of reconnecting with Ethelene.
Mm-hmm.
There's the walk in the park where they're talking. There's when Henry Sherman I guess they're going out on a date at one point, and he's talking to Ethelene about Royal and saying, I wouldn't really do this if I thought he actually was dying. And Ethelene is very suspicious, or is questioning his suspicion. And then she gets upset that he's suspicious that Royal isn't really dying. Because she's enjoying having him, in some capacity back in her life. Even though she won't really admit it. He's trying to hit on her, Royal, when he's like in bed. He's talking to her and, telling her that she looks great and that he never stopped loving her. And she's kind of not buying that.
She's like, yeah, he was like, don't you believe me? And she's like, not really. Right?
Yeah.
I love that bit. I think it's towards the end when Henry's like, Royal, I don't think you're an asshole. I just think you're kind of a son of a bitch.
After the turn, where Royal gets kicked out again, and isn't with his family, and you can tell that he's very upset by that. That's when he's starts trying to change and become that better person, and he gets the divorce papers in order, and he has them signed and notarized, and tells Ethelene that he's very happy for her and Henry, and tells her that I know I didn't think so much of Henry at first, but I know what you see in him now. I get it. He's everything that I'm not. And he goes to make those amends with Henry too, and at the end, and that's when they're walking along, and he says, I've always been kind of an asshole, but I would feel really upset if I didn't think that you forgave me, for being such an asshole to you. And that's when Henry tells him, I don't think you're an asshole, you're just kind of a son of a bitch. I don't want to say my theory, because this isn't really a theory, this is pretty obvious watching the film. Royal is the main character, obviously. Mm-hmm. The film is named after him. But it's Richie who's the heart of the movie. It's Richie who's the one that is trying to make peace with everyone. He's the one that, when he finds out Royal is dying, he's the one that kind of wants him back in the house. He's the one that lets him back in, that tries to convince everyone else to give him a chance.
He's the one who, arguably the one that's trying to be a better person or understanding, right? Yeah.
And he's the most diplomatic to everyone, even when, Chaz is really upset.
Yep.
Because he was always the one that Royal seemed the closest to. And Chaz is there's that jealousy, that underlying jealousy that Chaz has, especially when they're kids. That Royal was always the one to spend time with Richie and really care about Richie. They would go out on their little excursions, and both Chaz and Margot were never invited, and that's where a lot of the animosity stemmed from. And Richie was always the one, so that's So that's why Richie has that relationship with him even as an